So 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 this particular verse is about Krishna's transcendental senses and how it is not agitated by um, different. The descriptions would be here in the shloka. So first I'll recite, and then we need three volunteers to recite. After I recite and three times, and then we can discuss this verse. So let's recite. उद्दाम भावपिशुनामलवल्गुहास
भावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
व्रीडा व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
सम्मूह्य चापजहात् प्रमदोत्तमस्ताम्
सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ताम्
यस्येन्द्रियं विमथुं कुहति कुहकैर्न शेकुः
यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
पिशुनामलवल्गुहास
उत्थामभावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
सम्मूह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमस्ताम्
सम्मुह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ताम्
यस्येन्द्रियं विमथितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
So let's repeat one more time. उद्दाम भावपिशुनामलवल्गुहास
उद्धामभावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
क्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
सम्मूह्य चाप अजहात् प्रमदोत्तमस्ताम्
सम्मोह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ताम्
यस्येन्द्रियं विमथितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
Now please recite and volunteers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Hare Krishna.
उद्धामभावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
Uddama
उत्थामभावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
गुहासा
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासम्
Vrida
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो
मदनोऽपि
मदनोऽपि
यासाम्
यासाम्
सम्मुह्य चापमजहत् प्रमदोत्तमास्ता
Sammu
सम्मुह्य
सम्मूह्य
चापमजहात्
चापमजहत्
प्रमदोत्तमास्ता
प्रमदोत्तमासा
यस्येन्द्रियां विमतितुं कुहकैर्न सेकुः
यस्येन्द्रियं
यस्येन्द्रियां
विमतितुं
विमथितुं
कुहकैर्न
कुहकैर्न
शेकुः
शेकुः
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. One more recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll try.
Yeah.
उद्धाम भावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
उत्थामभावपिशुनामलवल्गुहासा
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
Vrida
व्रीडावलोकनिहतो मदनोऽपि यासाम्
संयुह्य चापमजहात प्रमदोत्तमासता
सम्मुह्य चापमजहात् प्रमदोत्तमास्ताम्
यस्येन्द्रियं विमथितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
Yasya
यस्येन्द्रियं विमतितुं कुहकैर्न शेकुः
कुहकैर्न
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. So this verse is, as I was mentioning, is about the dealings with the queen of Shri Krishna when he goes to Dwarka and meets his queens. He had how many queens? Anybody knows?
18,000.
16,108.
16,000.
Oh, sorry. I made 200 more.
So six,
That's a Kali Yuga count. Dwapara was 16,800. Up the Kali Yuga 18,000.
so yeah. So 16,108 wives, and then before this verse comes, there is a description of how queens respond and how they had reciprocations with the Lord. So in this particular verse is discussing about Krishna's senses which are never being disturbed. He is not disturbed by like any of the sense pleasures, because why we would know exactly after we read the translation and purport. Uddama is very grave and Bhava is expression, Pishuna is exciting, and Amala is thoughtless. So these very grave expressions of the queens, which are very exciting, and Valguhasa, beautifully smiling and giving sidelong glances. So these are all the female attributes which are Avaloka looking, Niyataha conquered. So which can actually conquer Madanaha or the Cupid. Our greatly tolerant Shiva will see why that is mentioned here. Api also Yasam whose Sammuhya, being overpowered by. So Sammuhya Chapam Ajahat Pramadottamastam. So here who is maddened, like for example Bose, even the Cupid, um, because who can Cupid is the god of love or the demigod of love, who actually engages in interesting the lust between the opposite sex. So he also is putting her bows down, means he has also claimed defeat in front of that. The beauty of the queens of Krishna or the queens of Dwarka, and of high grade, all yasya whose indriyam senses vimathitum. So everything cannot yasyendriyan vimathitum kuhakairna seku, could not perturb exactly magically. Those magical feats are not able to perturb the senses of the Lord. Means those things which can perturb the senses of even the God of, even the demigod of love, who actually interest this kind of feelings between opposite sex, cannot disturb the Lord. So in the translation, let's read the translation here.
Although the queen's beautiful smiles and fruitive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not hesitate the senses of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that is what I was describing. So it is here. So we'll read the purport and then we can discuss. Let's read the purport.
The path of...
Go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. The path of salvation or the path going back to Godhead always forbids the association of women, and the complete Sanatan Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma scheme forbids or restricts association with women. How then can one be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is addicted to more than 16,000 wives? This question may be relevantly raised by inquisitive persons really anxious to know about the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. And to answer such questions, the sages at Naimisharanya have discussed the transcendental character of the Lord in this and in following verses. It is clear herein that the feminine attractive features which can conquer Cupid or even the supermost tolerant Lord Shiva could not conquer the senses of the Lord. Cupid's business is to invoke mundane lust The whole universe is moving, being agitated by Cupid's arrow. The activities of the world are being carried on by the central attraction of male and female. A male is searching after a mate to his liking, and the female is looking after a suitable male. That is the way the material stimuli, that is the way of material stimuli. And as soon as a male is combined with a female, the material bondage of the living being is at once tightly interlocked by sex relation. And as a result of this, both the males and females' attraction for sweet home, motherland, bodily offspring, society, and friendship, and accumulation of wealth becomes the illusory field of activities, and thus a false but in de- indefatig- defatig- defi-
That too.
indefatigable attraction for the temporary material existence, which is full of miseries, is manifest. Those who are therefore on the path of salvation for going back home, back to Godhead, are specially advised by all scriptural instruction to become free from such paraphernalia of material attraction. And that is possible only by the association of devotees of the Lord, who are called Mahatmas. Cupid throws his arrows upon the living beings to make them mad after the opposite sex, whether the party is actually beautiful or not. Cupid's provocations are going on even among beastly societies who are all ugly looking in the estimation of the civilized nations. Prabhu, let Rama Mataji read
Oh,
rest
yeah.
of it.
Let's
Please.
let's get on. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Uh, f- f- I'm not getting
Yeah,
from.
it's I
Which
have
is highlighted,
Oh,
I've
okay,
Mataji?
okay.
yeah,
Thus, Cupid's influence is exerted even amongst the ugliest form, and what to speak of the most perfect beauties. Lo- Lord Shiva, who is considered to be most tolerant, was also struck by Cupid's arrow because he also became mad after the Mohini incarnation of the Lord and acknowledged himself to be a defeated. Cupid, however, was himself capitate, cap, captivated by the grave and exciting dealings of the goddess of fortune, and he voluntarily gave up his bow and arrow in a spirit of frustration. Such was the beauty and attraction of the queens of Lord Krishna. Yet they could not disturb the transcendental senses of the Lord. This is because the Lord is all perfect, Atma Arama, or self sufficient. He does not require anyone's extraneous help for his personal satisfaction. Therefore, the queens could not satisfy the Lord by their feminine attractiveness, but they satisfied him by their sincere affection and service. Only by unalloyed, transcendental loving service could they satisfy the Lord, and the Lord was pleased to treat them as wives in a reciprocation. Thus, being satisfied by their unalloyed service only, the Lord reciprocated the service just like a devout husband. Otherwise, he had no business becoming the husband of so many wives. He is the husband of everyone, but to one who accepts him as such, he reciprocates. This unalloyed affection for the Lord is never to be compared to mundane lust. It is purely transcendental, and the grave dealings which the queens displayed in a natural feminine ways were also transcendental because the feelings were expressed out of transcendental ecstasy. It is already explained in the previous verse that the Lord appeared like a mundane husband, but factually his relation with his wife was transcendental, pure, and unconditioned by the modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So here, Prabhupada clarifies on this particular thing, this particular verse, which is very important for us to know. So first he tells about the how the path of salvation is and what is forbidden there is association of women. It's association of having desires to the our senses, material senses, if we make it a bigger scenario. But here it is referring specifically to women. The complete Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma scheme forbids or restricts association with women. But now I would like your attention to this particular line here, where it says, He is the husband of everyone. Lord Krishna is the husband of everyone because Ekala Ishwar Krishna Art Savabhritya, that is one verse, and other verse says that he is the only Purusha and everything else is Prakriti. So he is the only enjoyer and we are all enjoyed. So the wives of Krishna are, to get that position of a wife of Krishna is not a very easy thing to happen. Even the many yogis and everything wants to have association of the Lord or wants to see the Lord face to face and reciprocate with him, but it is not possible for them. How can, so imagine these wives of Krishna are very elevated yogis and devotees of the Lord who by their devotional activity have gotten his chance to become wife of Supreme Lord. So that's why it says, to one who accepts him as such, he reciprocates. So there is an unalloyed, so there is no mundane relationship here based upon the sex desire. They are transcendentally linked. And that's how Lord reciprocates. Lord married them because of their devotion. This is just a leela he is performing. To outside world it may look mundane, but really his, because he is outside of all these material like hankerings or material desires, because he is away from it, aloof of it. Why? Because he is transcendental and everything is controlled by him. He is controlled, he is controlled by his devotees in a way, but he is controlling himself. He is the controller of his own self. He has an external energy and internal energy. External energy is just as subordinate to him, so that it cannot agitate his senses. So even though so beautiful female attributes of the wives of Krishna, they were there, and they can attract even Cupid. And also Cupid, before Cupid comes, also they are already attracted. So imagine that Cupid's role has gone nullified, is nullified in this kind of, because it's beyond Cupid's jurisdiction. That's why it can happen in Krishna's loving. So that's why it says they can be they satisfied him by their sincere affection and service, not by their feminine attractiveness. So that is the message here for all of us. Lord is perfect Atmarama, he is self-sufficient. And one thing here gives mention of Lord Shiva, as I was mentioning. Actually, Lord Shiva wanted to see, because he was not there in the, if you remember the Samudra Manthan Leela, which is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that Leela, actually, Lord Shiva wanted to see Mohini Roop because he came during the earlier phase of Samudra Manthan and took the poison, but he could not see the Lord's Mohini Roop, so and he wanted to so. So then Lord, just to play a Leela with the Lord Shiva, who is not moved by any material desires or any sensual desires. Even Cupid has was not successful. So, but Lord also, by looking at the Mohini Murti of the Lord, Lord Shiva also got so much attracted that he could not even control himself. So, telling that, what I mean to say is, Lord is a supreme person, and everything else of us are Prakriti. So he is the supreme enjoyer and we are enjoyed. So to see what in our eyes, in our mundane vision, seeing Lord's relationship with his devotees is a very, what I will say, not a proper way of seeing the thing. because that's what it says here. And one thing more here, Prabhupada mentions here. Cupid, however, was himself quite captivated by the grave and exciting dealings of goddess of fortune here, and he voluntarily gave up the bow. And one thing also there is that Cupid's influence is exerted even amongst the ugliest form. Not only the beautiful forms are attracted, even the ugliest forms get attracted and have the like the interaction with them. Opposite sexes interact, and those things even happen with the most ugliest form, and even all the forms, all the living forms are there. So it is not like only, but that what to speak of the most perfect beauties. So that is what, there is an exaggeration here. So how it says that it is already explained. The previous verse actually it is explained that Lord appeared as, it says that how could that Supreme Lord Krishna appeared on this planet by his internal potency, Swamayaya, and transcendently enjoyed with the queens as if mundane, it was a mundane affair. It is not mundane because it is transcendental, pure, and unconditional by the modes of material nature. So the take home is that Lord is not affected by any of the things which are material. He is transcendental. He is only attracted by love and devotion of the devotees. And by the mercy, as we can see here, which is here in italic, he is only satisfied. The devotees or their queens, they satisfied him by their sincere affection and service. So that is what is needed of us also. That's what I could say. So um, any other discussion points, corrections? I would highly appreciate that. Thank you. Or questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks for the explanation.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu, my question is, it is mentioned like Lord Shiva was not after Mohini avatar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by considering Lord Shiva's position, doesn't he know like it was like Lord himself?
Yeah, he knew the Lord himself, but he still wanted to see it. For some reason, he had that desire. It says that he has a desire in that particular chapter. It says Lord Shiva had a desire to see Lord's that form because he missed that opportunity to see him. But Lord, what Mohini form he showed to the Asuras was totally different here because here Lord showed his internal potency. There, it was Lord's form which had more of the external factors there, but it never happens to the Lord that he ever is touched by the external nature. But here, his form, what he showed to Lord Shiva was a different Mohini Rupa, which actually attracted even because he is super attractive. Krishna means to attract. He is so attractive, he can attract every living entity. So Lord Shiva was also getting attracted to that.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Lord Shiva, though he asked to Lord Krishna, Vishnu, to show the form, um, Lord Shiva forgot that it was Lord Vishnu's form. Lord Shiva actually thought that's Mohini Murti and got very much attracted to the
That's true.
female form of Vishnu Murti. So this is so much similar. Yogamaya, when Yogamaya pervades, what was knowing before will not be known again. Like Krishna himself forgets that he's God in Goloka. Why is it like that? Can't he remember? Nee? Because Yogamaya's effect is like, it will make one forget like that. So anything done by Vishnu Tattva through the internal potencies like Yogamaya. And so no wonder Lord Shiva forgot that it was actually Lord Vishnu. So he saw the form exclusively as attractive, beautiful Mohini Murti, not as Lord Vishnu taking form of Mohini Murti.
Exactly. And one
Yeah.
thing to add here, even Lord Vishnu told,
Thank
why you are saying this? Are you really want to see it? There may be some kind of repercussions. So he showed a very different Mohini form to him.
you.
It is like because of the influence of Yogamaya, as Mataji was referring. So it's not the same Mohini form that was shown to Asuras. So, so imagine that is the potency of the Lord, actually.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, if there are no more questions, so thank you for your very wonderful association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, and for your kind association so that I can also purify myself. Hari Hari. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Hare
much,
Hare.
Prabhu.
Sure.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.